Hey everybody, this is Rainbow Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing a movie called Treasure of Matecumbe. So this movie came out in 1976 and it takes place in a post-Civil War era. I found this movie on Disney Plus and I thought it looked pretty cool, so I thought I'd review it. So I'm just going to recap the story real quick. So the story is two boys find a map to an inherited treasure and have to venture to Florida in order to get it. And they're being chased by someone named Strangler and his gang. So, right off the bat, you can the poster kind of looks like a Goonies kind of movie, right? And that's what I thought too when I went into this, but it's actually really not. Most of the story takes place like when they're actually getting to Florida because they start out in Kentucky and they have to get to Florida. And while the Goonies takes place mostly like in the underground cavern, this is all like above ground, like the two boys making friends and avoiding the police, blah blah blah. So that's why I wasn't really a big fan of the story. I mean, the reason the Goonies works as a movie is because you're in this new cool environment and you don't know what's going to happen next because you don't know what the next cool trap is. But for this movie, they never really go into like treasure territory. I mean, they kind of do, but I'll get to that. So, yeah, the story it could be stronger. They focused on kind of the weakest part. Think of it this way. So most of the movie story them is trying to get from Kentucky to Florida. See, in like a movie, if this movie was made today, that would be like the montage part. But no, in this movie it takes like 2 hours and it's kind of boring. It's not very interesting. So yeah, story it's pretty weak. The visuals, I mean, this movie isn't like a sci-fi and it's not animated, so it doesn't have like that interesting visuals. I mean, it's live action. It's shot in the country. So the visuals are fine, I guess. I mean, it's just nature stuff. So that's kind of a moot point. The characters. I can go a little more in depth on this point. The characters are pretty good. I mean, you know, you don't really get too attached to any of them. So I guess they're not that good. I can remember a couple of their names. One of the boys' name is Dave, and he goes by Davy. Uh, and then there was like an Uncle John or Uncle Jim, something like that. And then there was a Mr. Snotgrass or something like that. That's literally his name. And he was probably the best character, actually. He has like a funny voice. He's like what do you call them? Like a market man, like a seller. I don't know, one of those people. So the characters, I mean, they're all right. We got a pretty diverse cast of characters here. Two boys, a woman, a guy, like the selling guy, and then there's like a just a regular old uncle. And I think they meet up with like a Native American later in the movie when they get close to Florida. So yeah, the characters are all right. You can tell there's not a lot to work with this movie, and that's really its problem. It's got like decent elements for the movie it's trying to be, but it's not really different in any other way. I mean, if you looked at one frame of this movie, you could confuse it with 30 other post Civil War slash treasure hunting movies because it kind of all just melts together. There's nothing really that special about it except two scenes, which I will describe now. These two scenes are very out of place for this movie. So this first scene, okay, well, spoilers ahead, by the way, but do you really care? I don't know. So the first scene that feels out of place in this movie is towards the end, and these characters, like every main character, is being like bitten by mosquitoes, but the way the movie shows it to you is that they're literally like drowning in them. Like they can't breathe because there's too many mosquitoes. And it's actually like a really kind of gruesome part. I mean, you'd probably expect that, but it's like you see one of the kids who's like 10 years old and you see him like lifting up his shirt and his whole stomach is just bloody from mosquito bites. and it's gross. Like, I really was not expecting it. So that part I really didn't like. It just made me super, super uncomfortable. And then the second scene is also a little bit further towards the end, about 5 minutes from the end. Well, 15 minutes, I guess, but anyway. So they're literally trying to dig up this treasure in the middle of a hurricane in Florida, and they're being like washed out to sea almost. And the seller guy, he's the digging up the pirate chest essentially, or he's trying to, and you literally see like a green screen behind him of just like a tsunami. And it's kind of hilarious how it all just plays out. And then he gets like poof, just swept away. And you don't see him for like 20 minutes. He ends up being fined in the end because this is a Disney movie. But, it's just like two really out of place, really weird scenes. They just don't fit. But, they were kind of funny to me. So I guess they do spice up the movie a little bit. Now, my fourth point, writing and acting. So, if you watched my black hole video, I think that's the last video I made, the acting was so bad, and it was the most notable thing about that movie. The acting in this one is pretty good. Like the guy who sells things, I cannot think of what those people are called, but for some reason, but his acting is probably the best in the movie. I mean, he does a really good job of selling his part, and you really believe that, yeah, okay, he'd be the guy who would be like that. He'd be trying to sell you stuff all the time. And the child acting was pretty good too. I mean, it seems like a lot of children's acting around this time was really good, and that keeps in line with this movie. The children's acting in this movie was pretty good, and I never felt like they they weren't believable characters. So they succeeded in that department. Everyone else was just fine. The villain, Strangler, he's just your like typical normal. He looks like the conductor from the Polar Express. I don't know why. I couldn't get that out of my head when I was watching the movie. That should just give you a sense of who this character is and exactly what his motives are, and whatever. So yeah, writing and acting pretty solid. Not a lot of comedy that appeals to me, but for a movie that it was made around that time, the comedy works like fine. Middle of the road. Number five, originality. At least this movie is original. At least I can say that. It doesn't do too much to be outstandingly original, but it is different than the other stories like this around this time. It's Goonies set in post Civil War era, but there's not a lot of treasure hunting. There's just a lot of meeting people and outsmarting the villains, and you know. So if you want more action, you'll probably want to watch the Goonies more than this movie, because this movie there's action, but it's not really super interesting. So I'm gonna say it's pretty good with originality, but you could be way better. Like that is one of the ways I would improve this movie. Definitely is to incorporate some sort of element or aspect into this movie, or even some character dynamic that makes it different. And that's kind of what I expected out of it because it's a Disney movie, but it didn't really connect with me like these like other Disney movies do. So that's how I'd fix it. Make it a little more original. Fix the story. Have it be more interesting, really. Uh, so yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this movie. As far as a rating, I give it a. I gave Aladdin 2 a 5. The Black Hole 4. This gets like a 6 because with Aladdin 2, it's you could tell like it's not up to snuff. With this one, you can tell there's at least some like competence behind it. They knew what they wanted going into it, but they could have just executed it a little bit better. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10, just a little above average, but not really. As far as tier list goes, I'm gonna give this a C. It's pretty bland. It's about as bland as you can get with this kind of movie, but ultimately, not bad. Nothing harmful. I was able to sit through the whole thing in one sitting without pausing, so there you go. So yeah, that is the treasure of Matecumbe. I think I'm saying that right, but we'll see. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that, and let me know in the comments what if you've seen this movie or what you'd like me to review next. Thanks for watching.